YouTube, you already know Big Flacco from a convict's perspective, man. And as always, man, I'm going to smash, dash, and slide on through that little bit of energy, man. First and foremost, I appreciate all the subscribers, everybody that taps on the channel, that hits that like, that supports it, man. Continue to help support the channel, man, because I put a lot of work in. There's a lot of things I got to do. I'm investing in this channel that you guys are not aware of. So, do your best to support this channel any way you can. I much appreciate it, man. If not, I'm happy that you tap in. So today, I got a special guest, something different. This is going to be a good story right here, man. I got the homie Lucky. He's a former Sureno from Portals.
Yep, 559.
From Tulare County, from 559. So this should be good. So we're going to start off with basic. A lot of times on this platform, I let people just take over. I try not to interrupt people.
Oh, yeah, that's good,
Sometimes in the moment when there's a question I have to get off, I have to interject at times, man, because otherwise, man, I may forget it or we just go too far in the story. But I want to start off first, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you become a Sureno in Portals?
So, see, I was born in Southern California in Riverside, and my parents lived in the Coachella Valley. So, being that the only hospital available at that time in the Coachella Valley was Riverside, I was born there. And then I lived out in the Coachella Valley for some time. So before I could even remember, my parents, they separated, My mother came to live here in Poplar, Porterville, California, and she stayed here all her life. So at times I would go down south since I was real young. And see, the culture in Southern California is way different from the culture in other places, geographically speaking, in the United States. And with that being said, gang culture is very immersed in Southern California, whether it be in Los Angeles and Sanfer, SGV, the IE, the Desert Empire, the other areas of SoCal like San Diego. Mm-hmm. Everything has its rhythm, but if you're Latino, you're most likely going to be a gangbanger, and at a very young age, that's all you see in the hood. Living with my father, I lived in the hood of Coachella, 52nd Street, and it's one of the biggest gangs out there in the Coachella Valley. And everywhere I would go, whether it be the IE or LA, I would see nothing but essays. So, of course, when you're young, misguided, it's easy to get fooled. It's easy for anything and anyone to catch your eye, your attention. And that's how it got my attention. It's not that I wanted, it felt more like it was predestined to be, because at the end, we don't have control of our own destinies. It's only God that controls it, and it's our duty to walk into that destiny. So, yeah, I became a Southerner, and it was difficult because Southern California, you have Southsiders like beefing hard with Southsiders from just a block away or from a different town. And the worst parts you see them is like a liquor store. You got to go buy a soda. You know what I'm saying? Like Coca-Cola, Dream World. Try it. It's really good. You go in there for a simple soda. It could be the last time you walk away from home, Yeah. So, and that's how I actually got into it, because it caught my eye. I would see Sureños everywhere, Southerners and meros, from the hoods, like coming out, kicking with the homeboys, telling us their prison stories, showing us how they made bone crushers in prison, like that, smoking weed. Some would even break dance, man. So it's like a family apart from your biological family. So it's like you actually felt like you belonged, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And being that I was a gang member, a lot of the hoods in Southern started. So when I would live with my father, I would actually have to come back home to Porterville. And I remember it was like a culture shock. That's the best way I can describe the experience, because you're going from Southern California, where you're seeing nothing but blue rags, treses everywhere, to Northern Cali, where you see nothing but red rags norte, and that's the majority, you know what I'm saying?
So you became a Sureno in Coachella or 559?
No, I was actually from down south. You know what I'm saying? But
okay, so your original hood's from down south.
Yeah.
What is that?
That's the 52nd Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most definitely. And then you moved to the 559, so you kind of grew up north and down south, so you got kind of crossing in between, huh?
Oh yeah, man. And I was in for, how would I say, life's a mystery, because it's different down south, you know, than up north. The rhythm, the energy, it's a lot faster, a lot more people, it's a lot more immersed. The gangbanging is just real dangerous, even with your own, you know. So yeah, like growing up here in Poros, I remember it was, how can I say it? I wasn't too light because I was coming from a Southern California area, you know, and all the cool kids in Poros, wherever it be, they were in it. You know what I'm saying? And the one thing I could say about Northerners are real structured, very well structured, militant, like street Marines, you know? Those guys, from the youngest ones, I remember when I was active, the two hoods that you had to be careful with was VCP and the POG gangs, Poplar and Porterville, because those two gangs were gunning homeboys down. I've lost several homeboys because of those two hoods, you know?
Yeah.
Like when you just don't walk into Poplar because they will shoot you. They're not shooting to scare you. They're shooting to get your head off. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so that's just the way the culture was for me, you know, the experience coming from SoCal to Central California, which is regarded as Northern Cali, but it's Central Cali. And the trippy part was that no matter how much I loved the Sur, I had family that were high ranking in the Norte. You know what I'm saying? And that was a trip for me. You know, I actually got exposed to a lot of the lifestyle. I've met a lot of carnales in the NF. I've actually seen them function on the street. And like, they're very well structured. You know, the regiments, how they run, how they control California. They're not weak, man. And they got numbers. Now it has diversified because of the rider movement with Snoop, in which I was able to see that movement in prison, like take off of the New Flowers, 2-5ers, IRs, GPGS, you know. Yeah, but I put in a lot of work. I've been in several riots. There's videos or witnesses of people, because I grew up boxing. You know, I know 5 different arts, whether it be Taekwondo to boxing, freestyle American wrestling, Wing Chun, the Fushan style, karate, Kobayashi, Shorin-ryu. So, you know, I've always had the hands. I have scars from when Northerners jumped me. I got scars from when I whooped on them, you know. It goes vice versa. You can never really win them all.
Yeah, true.
Which brings you to the question, is that why are we really fighting? You can't exterminate each other. Not even the Nazis could do that with the Jews. And they had all the military power in the world. You know?
Tribalism, bro.
Tribalism.
I mean, ego, jealousy, envy. You know what I mean?
Humans in humanity to humanity. That's what it's called, as I learned it in college.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you know, I get all that. I believe all that. You know what I'm saying? You know, I started tripping out later on in life, man, when I went to prison and, you know, I was in the shoe, right? Validated. I'd be talking to, you know, to big homies from down south, camaradas and all that, right? And man, I'd be like thinking sometimes, I'd be like, man, these dudes are actually good vatos right here, man. Like we talk about
say the same thing about Northerners, man.
We talk about, you know, drinking pistol, listening to oldies and stuff, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
you know, it was the same lifestyle, just, you know, because I grew up in that era when, like, you know, Colors came out, then American Me, then Mi Vida Loca, and all those movies, right? So that was the 90s for us when the gangbanging just went emerged, you know what I mean? And you know, we didn't have like the Surenos that I encountered were not like the Surenos I've been in prison, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? When did you move to, how old are you?
32.
Okay, you're a little bit younger. Okay, so a little bit different type of stilo back then. A lot of, you know, so you know, anyways, that's enough about me. Let's go into you a little bit more though. So you went to prison. Okay. You were involved in some stuff, right?
Yeah. See, what led me to prison was I have an uncle who was a big homie for the NF, and he called some shots. and he knew I could take care of business. And at that point, I had already stepped away from the gang lifestyle, but it's not like once you step away, because I was forced to step away because the homeboys did a wrong call, which forced me on this side. And they try to fix that. They're going to fix it. It's too late. Whatever. I'm on this side. Don't matter. Ultimately, my co-defendant got killed in front of me. They choked him in the middle of the street. They shot him. The bullet went in here and it got lodged in the back of his head. So it was a messed up situation. I remember that night.
Norteño or Sureno?
He was a Norteño.
Norteño, okay.
When the cops arrested me, they're like, "What the hell are you doing function with Norteños?" And I'm like, I don't know. Then they caught on who my uncle was. So they were like, okay, we understand exactly what's going on, because my uncle was high ranking. So how would I say? I went to prison, and I remember they were trying to offer me 4 life sentences, 2 for the kidnappings, 1 on each drug dealer. There was 2, the shooting, the dead body. Because in California, when you commit a crime, and in the commission of that crime, somebody dies, you're just as liable for that murder, even whether you did it or not. So think twice before you actually get involved, because things can get out of hand like that. You can't control certain aspects of life. And
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a key point that I've made in several videos.
Yeah.
If a convict, gang member, whatever, civilian could be arrested because they're present when a murder happened, why can't a law enforcement be accounted when a person dies that shouldn't have been killed and you're present? You know what I'm saying? That's one issue that I've been trying to sit there and trying to push a little bit, because I've seen things where people are literally being attacked and just, they're dying. And there's officers right there that say, oh, well, I wasn't a part of it. Well, you didn't stop it either. You should be held just as accountable. It's the same situation like that. They should be accountable the same way, is how I feel.
So see, speaking of legalities, I actually got a law degree while I was in prison. Spent over 10 years in prison straight. Police officers have loopholes.
I know.
Based on the duty that they're commissioned in. And they act as if it's a gang. They protect one another. They do not disclose facts when discoveries are required of them. When they're being questioned for situations that other police officers did, especially like the chiefs, they will not disclose full facts, because they know the system. They know how to question somebody. They know when they can say something, when they're not supposed to say something that's going to get somebody else involved. You understand? So, but it is a double standard. And in the federal constitution, we have what is known as the 14th Amendment. I believe it's the first, second clause, in which is due process and equal rights.
Yeah.
And it's like, when people don't understand their rights, they're weak. But when you know your rights, you can stand up for that, and that's when you become powerful. That's the same way the slave masters back in the day did not want the African American slaves to be educated to read, because knowledge is power. Knowledge opens doors like unbelievable. But an issue simple as that is, under the 14th Amendment of the federal constitution and the state constitution of California, amendment and section so-and-so, officers should be held liable. And that's as simply as presenting that to the California state legislator, things that I'm involved in, but I cannot speak on for legal reasons.
Okay. Awesome. So you did your prison stint. How long were you in prison for?
10 years, 3 months.
10 years, 3 months.
Oh my God.
So I'm pretty sure you told me before, right? So they tried to get you to flip, right?
They tried to get me to flip on my uncle at least 4 times. And I remember the DA was there, the main homicide detective, my lawyer was there. Because my lawyer's like, dude, you're barely 20 years old. You're looking at 4 life sentences. This is not going to be a walk in the park. They got your gun. They got the dead body. You got your car. But I wasn't involved in the robbery. How can I tell them what happened? I didn't see anything. I just heard gunshots, whatever. Bam, I'm gone. I didn't see nothing. I didn't get involved. So I told them I'm not gonna implicate somebody that wasn't involved in this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they wanted my uncle, so I told them I can't do it. If I could have easily washed my hands and walked away from this, but they insisted. The fourth time, when I didn't crack, they're like, you know what? Screw you. Then we're going straight to trial. That's when I got scared, bro, because that's when life got real fast. You only got one life. Don't waste it on ignorance, on street credibility. Value it for what it is, because you only have one. My name's Lucky. I got that name at a very young age, and thank God that I've lived up to that name, you know. So, and I remember when I went to trial, the DA was like, was it true you have an uncle's high-ranking Northern? I don't know. I don't know no structure about the Northerners. I don't know how they get down. He's always been in prison. I don't know. And I remember when I was in that holding cell, when the jury finally came back with the verdict, they brought my gun to the trial, a bud like big. Remember the weed? They actually got weed from the robbery. They I remember I was alone in that tank, and that's when you get scared, because that's when the time is just ticking, and it ticks so slow, and you're just moments away from finding out if you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison or you're actually going to walk away. Everybody wishes to walk away, but not everybody. This is a convicting state. California prison system, if you understand it, if you research the history behind it, it's all rigged politically, legally, because it's a money maker. It's $1 billion. I've spoken to correctional officers.
So we had a little technical difficulty. He's back. So we're just going to be talking about, his time in prison now. You said you were there when the riders were kicking it off on the SNY Guard?
Can you hear me?
Huh?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you perfect.
Okay, yeah, because I keep getting the phone calls. They won't stop all day, all night. Man, but for sure. But continue what you're doing. I apologize for that.
So, do you said you were on the SNY Guard, right?
Yeah.
You were no longer an active Sureno, even though you assisted in helping basically an NF regiment at that time. So
life happens.
Crazy story, huh, guys? So while on the SNY Guard, I mean, did you experience anything? I mean, how is the SNY Guard? I mean, I heard it'd be cracking off over there.
So let's start from the get-go. How I got to the SNY. I went into Bob Wiley's in Visalia, and a young Sureno had the keys. He was still wet behind the ears. He had no political experience. He was from Woodlake, and he okayed my removal when he wasn't supposed to. I was in good standing, and I remember 5 Southerners attacked me. Well, they tried to, because the cop reports are there. They took pictures of everybody. And how would I say, a Scrappy from Farmersville, Tweety from Poplar, Spider from Orange County, from Santa Ana. They tried to move on me, but the fighting technique came out. I left my celly Scrappy busted. I was throwing so much hands when they were moving on me that I got arrested. They thought I was removing somebody with the other 4 dudes, and they thought that who was it, Scrappy, that was all busted up by me, but that he was getting removed. Then they found out, no, I'm the one getting removed. So I went to the SNY and Bob Wiley's. And I remember there was a lot of new flowers there. And I was just there for like 2-3 days. And the shot caller at that time, I see him on the SNY side. And I asked him, what are you doing here? And he goes, I got removed because I okayed your removal. I wasn't supposed to. I'm like, that's right. I got my justice, but once I stepped on the SNY, I saw a whole different agenda. There was a lot of new flowers back then, a lot. And how would I say, very well spoken, very well schooled. Because you got to realize these dudes, they literally been on GP yards as Northerners, some familianos, and they got that proper flecha. they don't speak too much. They handle their business. You know, some you could even ask them, "You a new flower?" They will not. They won't even let you know like new flowers. They'll try to divert that attention. But they showed a lot of love for me. You know, like I never became a part of something once I dropped out. That to me was like, I'm done with it. You know, there's no reason to go back into it. You know, for a reason, God snatched me out of that lifestyle because it's a difficult lifestyle. But with that being said, yeah, I ran into new flowers. And one thing I remember about them is like, you know, it's code for them. And then like, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, really good people.
New flower.
Yeah. You know, I got a lot of love for new flowers, man, because they looked out for me. And they weren't bullies, even though they were with the business. So you got to respect that because with power comes a lot of responsibility, you know. Yeah. And these people have that clecha. You right away see it. You know, that's when the new flowers were booming. But when I got sent up to Delano, North Kern, I remember they sent me into the 2-5 building in D Yard. What was it, D5, right next to D6, the shoe or the hole. And it was flooded with 2-5ers, man. They had just stabbed somebody, and I remember they were all on lockdown, both A and B side. And as soon as they came out, you felt that powerful energy. These dudes, they rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? And like, they were removing so many people from that yard. The 2-5ers that Shady from 18th Street, West Side 18th Street, he had the keys to them in that building. The dude was hella cool, you know what I'm saying? Always drunk. This guy has so much control, man. If I would tell you the things I saw happen, they're like, damn, it's trippy, man. These dudes would have so much authority, they'd walk around the building with Pruno. And they're like, I got Pruno for sale with the CO right next to him.
Oh, yeah.
Because the COs knew if they cause them trouble, they're going to whack them right there and then. You know what I'm saying? And then realize that their job doesn't pay enough for them to cover a beat down or a stabbing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And these dudes were doing it like left and right. But they were all hella cool, you know, even though they were hella deep, they showed a lot of respect to like paisas. They showed a lot of respect to everybody. Child molesters, they weren't really fond of them, man. You know what I'm saying? But
nobody is.
Nobody is. It's a whole different ballgame for them, man. And I remember I went to D3 where the Northern Riders were at, and they had that flooded. And there was a big clash between 2-5ers and Northern Riders at that time. They were beefing hard. It was on site, whether they could stab each other, they could move on each other. It was very, very difficult time. You know, they called it Baby Iraq because Delano, that's the nickname they gave Delano. So I moved into D3 and you can see that 5 on the hand. You know what I'm saying? So I'm tripping because you always got to have your awareness up. Like Gunner says, up to par. And as soon as I get there, Northern Riders, they're scoping you out. And I remember they saw me, they saw that 5, and you just see that reaction on them, like, and right away they're conversing with each other. What's up with this dude? He just came from.
I can't hear nothing.
Damn, you can't hear it?
I can.
Okay. So
do a lot of editing on this one.
I get like 500 phone calls in an hour. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Yeah, so I remember there was a Northern Rider with a lot of respect there. I remember he had a bunny rabbit, a huge one, on his forearm with the red bow tie. Actually, a really, really nice Playboy bunny. And he had Playboy bunnies all on his chest, and I didn't know who he was, but he comes out. He goes, Lucky, let me talk to you. And he sits right next to me. And he's communicating with another inmate that had just came out of the 2-5er building. And that dude's like, hey, this dude's not one of them. He's not a number. He's a cool dude. Hey, just let him be. So they get the word. and they were ready to move on me right there and then, right there and then. All the Northern Riders, you had at least 20 something, and they're with the business, man. So I seen them stomp out several dudes, you know, and you feel it when something's about to happen. You feel it. Nobody has to say nothing. The energy in the yard, it changes, man.
Oh yeah.
And just like that, he says, "Hey, Lucky, what do you? Let me see your tattoos. What do you have?" And they were like, "Oh, okay, that's your hood." I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, don't even trip. We had one of your homeboys here, and no, he wasn't a 2-5er. You're not a 2-5er." I go, "Nah, man. That's it. When I came to this side, I was forced, and I'm good. I respect your guys' get down. You know what I'm saying? You guys do what you do, and like with SNY gangs, people think that they're weak because they're on a PC yard or they're on a SNY yard. Nah, man. If you really think they're that weak, try them. Step on their yards and try them because they'll move on you. You know, I've seen them stab. I've seen them jump dudes, pack dudes out. Like, yeah. And Northern Riders, they got that Northern flecha, you know. But that main Northern Rider, I don't know who he was. I can't say it was Snoop, or I can't say it was, I can't really call it. But the Northern Riders themselves told me, no, he's one of the founders. And that dude would snap fingers and people would get moved on like that. Like that. But that dude, like, he went to the hole for I forgot what he did. He beat somebody down. And he talked to my uncle, because my uncle just got a life sentence, you know. So he actually got a life sentence on his own, even though I saved him from the one with me, but whatever, you know. And he told me, I talked to your uncle, man. He's good people. He told me to take care of you. And from a northerner to a northerner, you know, my respects. I'm like, all right, you know what? Thank you, man. And yeah, I ran into independent riders. I've seen a really big riot between the IRs and the Northern Riders. Vicious, you know, they're never easy and they're never pretty. GBGs.
I don't know nothing. What's up with the GBGs?
Oh my gosh, dude. Hey, my respect to all GBGs, man, because they like boys, but they have hands, man. They're down for theirs. They're not something you could just go in there and disrespect the homeless.
Who do they get off with over there?
Man, like, they're mostly to themselves. You know, they try to sell up together, do their own thing, and they kind of stay away. But when they need to get busy, they get busy. You know what I'm saying? One instance, I was into Tehachapi because I was a level 4. I had very high points, but the point system just changed, and literally there was lifers everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and you see them, they're not afraid to stab you because they have nothing to lose. It's entertaining for them. You know, drama, they love it. But I was a level 3, and I was just like 2 points away from a level 4, man. And that was cool. You know, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm level 3. It took me several years to get off of level 3 to go to down level 2, level 1. But I did it. But I remember there was a barber named Thomas. He's a lifer. And that dude had a bad attitude from the harbor area. And he had been down for like 17 years at the time. And he would cut hair. And he always had a bad attitude. So one time he tried to get crazy with me, but you know what I'm saying? And he would just push around the ones he could. But he couldn't push the ones that were really about it. And I remember there was this tranny named Mercedes. I forget where he or she's from, but had long hair, really long hair. And she went up to Thomas and told him, hey, cut my hair. You're a barber. I'm like, all right. So Thomas messed up. He cut Mercedes' hair too short. And when Mercedes got up to look in the mirror, she starts crying. And we're like, well, what's going on, you know? He's like, you mother effer, you know how many years it took me to grow that hair out? Boom, slapped him right there.
Wow.
But you don't want to be a barber in prison, and you don't want to be a referee for sports. Those are the first two things that you're gonna get taken off on, or you're gonna get into some trouble. You
So,
know.
what about the Zapatistas? Were you there with them?
You know what? No. I've never ran into Zapatistas. Two fibers and IRs, yeah, NRs, GBGs, ran into them.
So the IRs are kind of like they're not right. They're not Northern Riders. They're
No, they're to themselves. They use that skater cross, but they're there. I've met some cool ones, man.
Is
Like,
there any other type of groups that are on the SNY side?
I remember BBCs. I've seen them, but they're not really out there.
What's that
You
stand
know,
for?
Brothers by Choice is like a white crew.
Heard of that?
You know,
Yeah.
let me see. No, the interesting fact is when I went through my time in prison, I got maintenance jobs. I got hooked up with education. I got the law degree in prison. So I started fighting cases from within the penal system, and I started getting inmates released. So my name went from Lucky to Johnny Cochran in prison. Officers would call me Johnny Cochran. I remember I actually held positions like the law library. I would run it, you know, and they would pay me that extra pay for that specialization certification. And I literally would help inmates, and I would have classes of inmates, and I would teach them, get on the LexisNexis in the law library. I'm holding a class. I'm going to teach you how lawyers, judges, and prosecutors use the law against you, and then how you can use it for yourself, how to stand up for your rights, how to petition a motion, how to fill out the caption, how to direct it, how to break a code, a law, and just work it, you know, how to translate it into what you need in order for it to give you legal grounds to get your relief in prison. I fought so many courts from within the system, from all county courts to superior courts within the counties, to the California Supreme Court, to the federal courts, northern, eastern, central, southern districts, to the circuit courts from 1 to 11, to the United States Supreme Courts, you know. And with that much knowledge comes power. I remember even when I came out of prison, I still, like, family members get into trouble or whatever. Like, Lucky, what do I do? I go, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're not going to say. This is how you're going to act. You know, once you know your laws, you become that much more powerful. But I remember, even when I was in, how would I say, a guy went to court, and I told him, you're going to stand up. Your public defender's going to say whatever he's going to say. And if he doesn't say this, he's screwing you over. So you're going to stand up, and this is exactly what you're going to say to the judge. And when he did that, the judge is like, who told you that? Because only a lawyer would know how to say that. You know, so they interrogated him. Who told you? Where do you get this information from? And the way I got into legalities was an OG Northerner, but he became a bulldog. And I could almost say he was one of the F-14ers, man. He's very old, you know. And he told me, Lucky, you're fighting a life case. He says, don't sit there. Don't lay down on the ground for them and give them your life. You fight for your life. And that's something I always respected about Northerners, because they push that education on you. You know, me being a Southerner, I'm being educated by them. So, of course, you know, I bought the CEB, the California Continuing Education of the Bar book, the edition that I needed, the Penal Code book, the California State Constitution, the Federal
Law Dictionary, all that stuff.
The Black's Legal Dictionary is one of the best ones, the best gift to
I used to be good at that stuff, but it's been so long that I used to shepherdize law cases, look for new updates and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes stuff would be so outdated, though, when you're in the shoe.
Okay.
And, you know, that's the only thing that was bad about it, man. But
yeah,
you know, I noticed that about you, because most people I know that are in prison, right? There's certain different groups that, you know, like within the Surenos, the camaradas would be well versed, and of course the emeros, right? The rest of it, they just would be convicts, just doing their thing. I mean, there would be no dummies or nothing, but that was not necessarily a priority. You know what I'm saying?
What I can say about Northerners and their machina, it ain't no joke, man. I seen them work out. Like Northerners, like they're like Navy SEALs, bro. Rain, snow, shine, whatever, no matter what, you're working out. And I've actually worked out with Northerners that had just came out from doing time. I couldn't even keep up with them. And I was boxing at the time on the streets.
Oh wow.
I'm just like, this dude's a machine, bro. Like, do like 50, 60, 70 push-ups, proper push-ups nonstop, and outdo me, a fighter. I'm just like, damn, I'm impressed by that Machina, man. Machina on track.
Oh man, I never want to see another burpee again, bro. I've done so many.
Your
Bro.
back will hurt.
Right now.
Yeah.
So many, man. I noticed that though you're well versed, like not just in one area. Like you're a seeker of information. Like education is basically is the information you retain and how you apply it. So I see that you seek things, you look into things, and you like to have information to process things.
Yes. I got 5 degrees while I was in prison, just like Snoop Dogg did on Soul Plane. I mean, that Northerner laced me up. He told me, get your education. Don't just give your life away like that. Because the moment you come out of prison, that's when it's really going to matter. And if you don't get convicted for a life sentence, make it count. Don't just give them life like that. So that's what I did. I fed off of those legal books, and bam, I came out like a lawyer, man. So well versed that I could literally take that bar exam in Los Angeles and ace it. You had nothing but time to study in there. So yeah, I gotta respect it about the Norte law for the betterment of my people, man.
That's the biggest misconception of people behind the walls, right? Is everybody talks about the betterment of the people and education and whatnot, right? But I see so many people that don't prepare themselves with a plan before they step out, man. You know what I'm saying? I look at it like this, right? I'm gonna use a couple of different analogies. You have recovery, right?
Yeah.
When you're going through a treatment center, you're not in recovery yet. You're learning. You're getting prepared, and you're not going to hit recovery till you leave treatment and you're out there in the streets.
Yeah.
The same thing with being incarcerated. You're supposed to take that time to prepare yourself for when you re-enter society. But there's too many people who get lax. They want to go out there and try to figure out a hustle, or they want to go out there and just watch TV. They want to go gamble. They want to do all these different things. And then when they hit the streets, they're wondering why they're not prepared.
True. The best hustle while you're in prison, now that shout out to Coastline Community College, I graduated with honors, man. How would I say? I took advantage of that, man. I got that GED in prison. I got the law degree in prison. Man, I got a business degree in prison, business in which I'm actually involved in. Details cannot be disclosed. I'm under a non-disclosure agreement based on my management. How can I say it? I knew that I got a second chance when the jury came back and said I wasn't guilty for those life sentences, So, man, dude, when I heard that news, I knew that God had gave me a second chance. Whether they sentenced me originally to 16 years. I'm only 21 at the time. I was 2 years fighting my case, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to study. I'm going to take that OG's advice, and I'm going to become somebody. So in prison, I got so well versed with education that they hired me. The prison system hired me to educate fellow inmates, and they knew that I wasn't a drug addict. They knew I wasn't about problems, gangs, drugs, no drama, I got a lot of blessings from the OGs, and in order to get a blessing as a young man from an OG in prison, it says a lot about a young man.
Yeah, it does.
Because they're quick to be like, I don't like that dude. Get him the hell away from me, because he's going to get me caught up or he's going to get me in a wreck. But when they give you that blessing, it means something. It talks about the character within a person and of a person. So I actually helped a lot of inmates graduate, a lot of them,
That's awesome. And you know what? I think that we're going to get into this for the viewers out there. We decided to do this in 2 parts, maybe even 3.
Oh, we could go forward, brother, because I can dissect an issue and literally just keep elaborating on that same concept.
Yeah. This was a very good interview, man. It showed a little bit about you, that where you came from, and what led you do in your prison. I want to go next in the next episode. I want to talk about your rehabilitation in there. You know what I mean? And where you start to go. I know there's certain things that are going on in your life that are very, very let's say I look forward to seeing them come full circle, right?
Let me just tell you one thing, Flaco, without disclosing facts. This interview that you're doing, it's going to be worth a lot of money, and it's in your hands, because who I'm getting ready to become, the world doesn't know it, but Lucky Patino, remember the name. you know, you just never know who you're going to meet. The biggest blessing that happened to me was going to prison because it changed my life. That's about as much as I can say. But save this interview because you're literally the first person to interview me.
I'm gonna be the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth, and all that, man. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you know, and yeah, when I'm up there, you'll be able to say I interviewed Lucky Patino personally, and there's value to that. It's like baseball players; you can get their rookie card and buy it for cheap, but once they go professional to the major leagues and they're big and they're up there, then you can sell that same card for a lot more.
So you guys out there, remember this, man. The first premiere interview ever with Lucky Patino. He has some special things that are coming in the future. I can't disclose it, but you guys,
big. They're big, man.
This is his first ever interview. Let's remember that. Let's remember where he got his little platform to go.
Poros is gonna be proud to have me in Poros. Let me
Coachella, man.
Coachella too, man.
You know what I'm saying? You know, doing big things, man. Hey, man, appreciate you, man. I'm gonna call you right now off the line. I'm gonna start editing the video. But I think this was perfect where we ended it.
Yeah, because there's still so much more context that we can spread apart, elaborate further in detail from recidivism